We will now be kneading this bread for 8 to 10 minutes. Remember that kneading is very much relative to how much effort you are putting in. It's definitely an input-output kind of task. So the more effort you put in the beginning, the quicker your dough will be non-stick. So we always start our breads at Bread Ahead with the tear and stretch technique. This is a fantastic technique because it really gets that water absorbed into your dough very quickly. Once you have a dough that's coming together and not wanting to pull apart, we can move on to other kneading techniques. So for the tear and stretch technique, you want to hold the base of your dough with one hand, and then you're using the heel of your predominant hand to stretch and tear that dough out. So you get a really good long extension, and then grab your scraper, and you're going to be pulling that dough back towards yourself and giving it a turn. This is also to ensure we are rotating that dough so we're not working one side. You're going to repeat. So you can see I'm really making sure I get a nice extension on that dough and bring back in and turn. I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock, so I'll keep an eye on the time. And hopefully you're following along with me. In terms of how long things take, it's important to understand that if you're just starting out, and maybe this is the very first time you're kneading bread, you may take a little bit longer to achieve a nice strong development in your dough. However, on the opposite end, if you are a bit more advanced and it's not your first rodeo, you might be finished in 8 minutes, and that's also okay. We will do a test at the end to check our development so that you can learn when to stop and when to carry on as well. Your dough will stick to your hands a little bit. This is actually a good thing. It's not wrong, so if you don't mind to bear with us while we get through the first couple of minutes of kneading, and hopefully your dough will become more non-stick as we go along. You can actually start to tell in your dough, or maybe if you're watching me, that it wants to actually stay together. It's starting to pull into more of a ball, and every time I'm pulling it out, I can actually feel it springing back into itself. And that is the gluten inside your dough that is wanting to start to strengthen up. The gluten inside our bread is actually what holds the shape and keeps the structure. It is a freestanding product, so it needs a lot of strength to make sure that the loaf holds a nice, beautiful, plump shape in the oven. So at this point, I'm going to stop this technique and move on to something else. I would suggest scraping your counter. Make sure there's nothing kind of in the way. Also your hands. You can see I have a little bit of dough on my hands. Using your scraper, you can just release any little bits and bobs like that. And also another trick, rub your hands together. And what you are left with here is a nice non-stick film of dough on your hands so that the next time you touch your dough, actually, it won't stick.